Rich, do you get any money from the government? Are you ruling that out? What kind of government involvement is in Sci-Port?
In terms of ruling out, I stated very clearly we're not going to ask the commission for a $2 million loan. With that being said, at the commission, pardon me, I believe at the council, I said all options are on the table. We're not going to ask North Korea or Syria or other, state sponsors of terror, but
everybody else is open.
Everybody else is open, but there's also a reality there, and especially when it comes to loans. If someone gives us a gift, that's great. Someone makes loans money to us. I mean, as a chairman, I have to sign that in good faith. And if I don't have a permanent source of revenue to cover that, I can tell you right now, this chairman is not going to sign it.
Who owns Sci-Port?
So the building is, the name and intellectual property is owned by Sci-Port Discovery Center, a Louisiana nonprofit corporation. That's separate from the government. The city of Shreveport owns the building. The city of Shreveport owns a large number of the exhibits. If Sci-Port did not exist, those exhibits would go back to the city of Shreveport. That includes the property around the building and other things, too.
If Sci-Port goes bankrupt, the city's holding the tab for your debts?
No, ma'am.
Huh, how so?
They're not the creditor.
Ah, okay.
The debtor,
but the building could be seized, could it not?
Not at all. No liens can be filed against it, nothing.
Okay.
You've been on the board more than 3 years. You've been director since
January 2015.
But you've been director.
I've been chairman
of the board since
December 2017.
Right, not long at all. Looking back on your tenure and the folks you work with on the board over the last 3+ years that you've been there, and what you've told us this morning about and maybe misled by some people is too strong a word, but at some point, are you and the other members of the board really angry, and was there yelling?
There have been some very heated conversations in board meetings. And I forgot we're on radio. No one can see my face right now, but there's a smirk there. There's been some very heated conversations. Now,
where you called people in and literally you said, what the hell did you do?
There was something along those lines. Some of it was held outside of a board meeting before a formal board meeting. One thing that happened was in the spring of 2017, there was a proposed budget, and several of us stood up and said, there's no way in heck we're doing this.
So what do you know now that you wish you knew 3 years ago?
Well, I wish I knew more details about some of the payables. And by details, I mean, it's not, when you look at our AP, it's just a number, not the 0 to 30, 60 to 90 breakdown and the amounts.
I guess my question was, if as a board member now, are you going to be less inclined to accept a financial report from people that you are in charge of overseeing?
Oh, absolutely. And that, I think that's a smart thing to do. And I think it creates checks and balances, internal controls. I think also, if I'm the person, let's say I was the executive director of Sci-Port, I would want internal controls and things like that and checks and balances to protect me too. So people aren't second guessing my intentions.
Time for one more, kids.
IMAX is reopening this week. What's the date? When can I come see Jaws?
That's not Jaws. And for those of you out there, we cannot show major Hollywood films.
Right.
There are a number of laws and other things that prevent us from doing that. But
This is not China, my friend.
Yeah.
Exactly. We aren't stealing anyone's intellectual property. But IMAX is really working with us, and they gave us the movie Pandas, which is a new movie about raising baby pandas and their life and stuff like that. And April 6th or 7th, we have a day open just to members.
Okay.
And that's not typically how we do things. We want to recognize people who paid for memberships prior to us shutting down. And then I believe the 7th is open to the public. And after that, there's going to be schedules released on Facebook. By the way, if you want information, that's the best way to do it, is to check our Facebook page.
More construction is continuing?
No, man. We halted that. When we discovered that we did not have the resources to continue to do anything, we stopped everything, told those people while we were stopping, and started to really go through and do some due diligence on different ways of doing things. We are not going to build anything until we know how we're going to pay for it. We're going to have those funds in place from a reliable source, and we have a good plan. The issue is not so much building stuff, is maintaining it and equipping it with employees. So what we're going to do is open everything up incrementally. In other words, let's say this is, for example, 10% at a time. We'll hire some employees, see how that goes. If it goes well, we're covering that cost. Then we'll move on to the next thing. 2 things I can tell you are going to be outsourced: the gift shop and the cafe. Keeping our science center open is hard enough. We don't need to be in the restaurant business or the retail business. And until then, we're working with food trucks to work for food trucks to be down there for some very small nominal fee, so that our patrons can enjoy those food trucks and encourage people from downtown to avail themselves of those food trucks.